Hello, this is Eye on Africa with me, Yaneli, and these are your headlines on the continent tonight. Armed men attack a bilingual school in western Cameroon. At least 3 students and 1 teacher are killed. Several others are in hospital. Tunisia's waste crisis continues to anger residents in Aghareb. Stay tuned to hear from these residents living next to a toxic waste dump. And 20 female researchers from sub-Saharan Africa received the For Women in Science Prize, endowments and mentorships for doctoral and postdoc students changing the world. Let's start the show in Cameroon. Local TV there has reported that unidentified individuals have killed 4 people at a school, 3 students and 1 teacher in the town of Ekondotiti. The country's west has been rocked by a separatist movement for years now. The pro-independence Anglophone movement has often clashed with security forces. Monitors say 700,000 people have had to flee their homes. Our correspondent Claudia Nsono has the latest.
According to a Ekondotiti district officer, separatist militia opened fire on students and teachers of government bilingual high school Ekondotiti at about 7:50 a.m. on Wednesday. Ebolwa Timothy also said that the victims were 3 students and a female teacher, adding that 4 other injured victims had been rushed to nearby health facilities. According to the district officer, security forces were later deployed to comb the town and find those responsible for this very gruesome act. He has reassured the local population that security has been reinforced to ensure the safety of everyone, but especially of school children. Wednesday's attack comes after calls for school boycott from separatist militia fighting security forces in the English-speaking northwest and southwest regions of the country. According to UNICEF, over 850,000 students have been denied their rights to education since the beginning of the Anglophone crisis, and nearly 4,000 schools have since been burnt down. The Anglophone crisis has inflicted a very brutal toll on civilians. Repeated clashes between armed separatist militia and security forces fighting in these regions have left over 5,000 people dead and displaced over 700,000 others, according to rights groups.
Morocco and Israel have signed their first ever defense pact just a year after they made their relations official. Defense ministers Abdelatif Loudi and Benny Gantz inked the deal in Rabat, one that paves the way for arms sales and intelligence sharing. Shirley Sitbon has more on the Israeli representative's historic visit.
Visiting Morocco officially used to be impossible for Israeli ministers. But since last year's Abraham Accords, they not only fly over, they also sign landmark deals. The one signed by Defense Minister Benny Gantz and his Moroccan counterpart Abdelatif Loudi is an MOU, a Defense Memorandum of Understanding. It's not an arms deal or a plan to share intelligence, but a legal and regulatory framework that will make those deals possible in the future, a leap in their security cooperation.
דבר מאוד מאוד משמעותי, הוא יאפשר לנו גם להחליף דעות, הוא יאפשר לנו גם להיכנס לפרויקטים משותפים, הוא יאפשר ייצוא ישראלי לכאן.
This warm-up is yet another blow to the Palestinian Authority, who criticized Arab countries who have signed normalization and peace deals with Israel before that country even made any concession on the creation of a Palestinian state. Israel points to its historic cultural ties to Morocco. Nearly 500,000 Israelis claim Moroccan heritage. Thousands visit the country every year. Benny Gantz visited the tomb of King Mohammed V, the current king's grandfather, and the World War II monarch who refused to hand over Moroccan Jews to Nazi Germany.
Time now for a quick look at other important stories we're keeping an eye out for you this evening. Ethiopia's state media says Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has now reached the front line in an ongoing battle against Tigrayan forces, leaving Addis Ababa in a bid to galvanize troops and the war effort. In a boost to the central government, 2 famous Olympians, one of them considered to be a national hero, have also pledged to join the front if need be. Libya's Electoral Commission has rejected the candidacy of Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. The panel argued that the son of former ruler Muammar Gaddafi is ineligible due to his 2015 war crimes conviction. He had been slated as one of the big faces of the upcoming presidential vote. This rejection potentially adds to disputes surrounding electoral rules. In total, the Commission denied 25 out of 98 candidates, including 2 well-known politicians. And Tanzania's government has lifted a ban on pregnant teens and teen mothers attending school. In 2017, the country's late leader, John Magufuli, had launched the controversial policy, saying that it was immoral for underage girls to be sexually active. At the time, international donors had slashed funding to Tanzania over the issue. Now, the World Bank and the Swedish embassy in Dar es Salaam are among those who have already welcomed the U-turn. To Tunisia next, more precisely to Aghareb, 300 kilometers south of the capital, Tunis. It's in this rural town where civilians have been protesting against the decision to reopen a toxic waste dump. It was shut down in September after residents complained about health issues for years, but with no other solutions in sight, trash is piling up in the region. Our correspondents went to find out more.
The powerful stench that wafts through the town of Aghareb comes from mountains of garbage. Most of the region's rubbish is dumped on this 35-hectare site, and locals can't escape the fumes. Salem Esghair, an activist with local group Manishim Sab, I Am Not a Dump, is desperate.
There you see it's the leftover liquid coming from the landfill, along with the hydrogen and the gases which are letting off that terrible smell. Every family here has been affected in some way by breathing issues and other diseases because of this dump.
Campaigners have been trying to shut down the dump permanently. It's closed for now, but that causes a dilemma for the many families that work there. The problem sparked fatal clashes in early November. The army has since been sent into downtown Aghareb. Community groups met with President Kais Saied on November 11th to discuss the emergency.
We're sticking to our positions, like claiming our right to a healthy environment based on the Constitution, or the application of decisions taken to close the dump. The government hasn't kept its promises.
The crisis has lasted for a month. With the Aghareb dump currently closed, Sfax and the surrounding regions have nowhere to dispose of their waste, like here in the district of Gremda.
You can see all around us, it's a sorry sight, and it reflects well the situation in Sfax.
This professor remains hopeful.
The new government team is finalizing a new integrated strategy for managing waste that is sustainable until 2030. We as citizens and civil society are waiting for that.
It will take years for improvements to make a difference. For now, authorities are trying and failing to find a temporary place to store the region's waste.
And finally, let's end on the 4 Women in Science's Sub-Saharan Africa Awards taking place in Rwanda. The L'Oréal Foundation and UNESCO team up each year to award grants to 20 young female scientists. It's an initiative to support budding talent and encourage women to reach their full potential. France 24's Fatima Tawan is there for us.
Could you name at least one African scientist? What about an African woman scientist? Less than 3% of all the researchers all over the world are African women. To promote them, that's exactly the purpose of this event for Women in Science Young Talent, funded by L'Oréal and UNESCO. And this year, they celebrate their 12th edition here in Kigali. Beyond the financial support up to 15,000 euros, this program has a lot more to offer.
During 5 days, they receive soft skills training because in general, they are very, very dedicated to their research, to their scientific excellence. But to make a career and to break the glass ceiling, you need additional competences. And these competences are communication skills, management skills, leadership, negotiation.
They have received more than 440 applications. At the end, 20 young talented have been selected. Among them, Mary Muriti, young doctorate from Kenya, and she is working on breast cancer.
There is the money that they're giving us, which will help me to complete my studies, my research. But also the award comes with like publicity, where we have now to raise our voices as women. So it has also given me a platform where I can talk to my fellow like girls or ladies and encourage them that yes, it's possible.
Empowering women more than ever, that's the main goal of this event. And like this program likes to emphasize, the world needs science and science needs women.
That's it for Eye on Africa. More international news with Simon Harding after the break.
What does it take to be a national hero? The list of distinguished people in France's rich history is a long one.
Well, there are authors and philosophers, military heroes and resistance, politicians, cutting-edge inventors and scientists, record-breaking athletes, and of course, ordinary, everyday citizens.
So how does the nation pay tribute and respect to its great men and women?
Join us as we investigate France's top honors.
French Connections Plus on France 24 and France24.com.
The planet is suffering. Climate catastrophe is at our doorstep. Emissions are soaring, species are disappearing. But a mass movement is underway to make things right. Scientists, engineers, politicians, business leaders, and of course, teenagers. And we give them all a voice here on Down to Earth.
A major driving force is the good that we could do at the end of it.
Down to Earth on France 24 and France24.com.